إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن عليًا ولي الله أشهد أن عليًا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم اجعل قلبي وعرم لسان وشقان ورزقي دام ولا تبرع من قبل نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم مستقر وقرار برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء مع عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز شان كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عنه معاصي العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدًا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أيها الناس إنه قد أقبل إليكم شهر الله بالبركة والرحمة والمغفرة شهر هو عند الله أفضل الشهور وأيامه أفضل الأيام ولياليه أفضل الليالي وساعاته أفضل الساعات صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم صلوات Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and all of you to practice the piety and the taqwa of Allah as is the best of provisions. As promised, as we had recited last week, continuing with the khutbah that Rasulullah had given on the last Friday of the month of Shaban to his companions, this hadith narrated by our 8th Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Rada, alayhi salatu wasalam, an abaihi, an Amir al-Mu'mineen, in which Imam narrates the Holy Prophet, the Noble Prophet, about the merits of the month of Ramadan on this last Friday, which we are upon. As mentioned, today being the 29th of Shaban, it is highly possible to sight the crescent tonight. Therefore, tomorrow will be the first day of the month of Ramadan. During this blessed month, Muslims around the world dedicate themselves to acts of worship, increase prayers, charity, and self-discipline. But how can we truly make this Ramadan better than any before? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Otherwise, it would just become something which is a routine that comes about and goes away. The key lies in preparation, reflection, and taking advantage of the best resources to guide us through the month. I like to use this example that those who go for Hajj for the first time, they're really panicked. They don't know what's going on, and they're running around haphazardly, looking for guidance, even for the smallest of the details. What is the intention that we need to make? What is the niyat that we need to do? Can we walk this way? Can we walk that way? Can we do this? All these small little details. Why? Because they're panicked, and this ibadat, which costs them a lot of money, they don't want it to be rendered invalid. But when you go for the next time, the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, then that ibadat becomes that much easier for you. Why? Because now you have an overview and understanding of what to expect, what is going to come. You know now that you're going to go to this manzil next. This will be the next place and that's next station. This will be the next station, and so on and so forth. So you know how to plan and prepare ahead of time. When you have all of those things that you are experiencing, you have already experienced it in the past years. Guess what? Ramadan is the same way. You're not experiencing it for the first time. It's not your first Ramadan. Maybe for many, those who converted, for example, last year, this would be their first Ramadan. But for you and I, this is not our first, and hopefully not our last either. But nonetheless, this is where your previous Ramadan, or this Ramadan, should be better than the one that passed us last year. How is it possible? The key lies in your preparation, reflection, taking advantage of the best resources to guide us through the month. And of course, you have the centers and the imam baragas and the masajid. They provide, daily basis programs which are uplifting spiritually, as well as for your nourishment and your food for spirit and food for your stomach. Those are good. But there's a self-reflection, and self-discipline is something which is an individual aspect of your life. Many a time, these things are done when you are by yourself, more so when you are in the surroundings. Of course, you want to be at your best behavior when you're in front of other people, and most likely that is the case. But usually this assessment is done when you are by yourself. That is the reason our 11th Imam Hassan Askari ﷺ said that this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, La yudrikhu illa bi imtita'il layl. It's not possible to undertake this journey except at the darkness of the night. When the night prevails, it's dark, people are sleeping, you're there by yourself and you're standing in worship and you're praying. Right at that moment, that is the time for reflection. That is the time for you to have that real connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, so much emphasis is to pray in jama'at. You do that, you come. But rarely do you see that you're able to focus clearly when it comes to your ibadat, when you are in congregation. So not to undermine the aspect of standing together takes over lack of attention, for example. The aspect of being in congregation, it gives more reward and merits for other disruptions that might happen while you're praying in Jamaat over here. So it balances out. But when you're by yourself, that's when the concept of reflection and really self-disciplining comes into play. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, he taught us that actions are judged by intentions. As we approach this Ramadan, Shahr Ramadan, we should begin by making sincere intentions to maximize our ibadat, which alhamdulillah we do so on normal basis. But nonetheless, by this maximizing our ibadat, it is something which is also giving us that reflection that we need. So start by asking yourself the following questions. Number one, what do I want to achieve this Ramadan? Maybe weight loss is what I'm trying to achieve this Ramadan. Getting in shape is what I'm trying to achieve in this Ramadan. Believe me, that is never working out. That is not going to work out because the amount of food that you don't eat in 15, 16 hours, you eat in the next few hours that follow after you break your fast. How can I strengthen my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The best of the moments, as it says, when our Prophet ascended to Mi'raj, Allah asked him, Ya Ahmad, بأي وقت يتقرب العبد إلى الله? What is the time when my abd, my servant is closest to me? He said, إذا كان جاعيا أو ساجدا. When my servant is empty stomach and he's in the state of sajda. So when you have that opportunity every single day for the next 30 days, in the month of Ramadan, at least your Fajr, your Dhuhr, and your Asr will be offered while you're empty stomach. And when you come to pray here, Maghrib, it'll also be empty stomach. That is the opportunity for you to have that closeness, the real closeness to Allah. So it's strengthening your relationship. Number 3, what bad habits do I need to let go of? Right? We mentioned that yesterday as well. That while we're able to let go of many of the halal things, then it is easy for us to let go of the haram things, right? When you're able to refrain from that which is halal, permissible for time being, then you can definitely let go of those things which are haram for sure and forbidden. Planning ahead will help you stay consistent in your spiritual journey. So these are a few questions, and you could have more questions of yourself to go ahead and plan ahead of time. Have this opportunity, think about it. Don't just walk into it as if, yes, this is nothing new, we've done this before, been there, done that, so on and so forth, and you start fasting. Nothing of that reform comes to play. Prophet said what? He said, "O people, indeed ahead of you is the blessed month of Allah. It is a month of blessing, mercy, and forgiveness, a month which with Allah is the best of the months. There are best of the days and the best of the nights and the best of the nights and the best of the hours are in this month of Ramadan." Why all of these things are best? When you are categorizing people based on their grades or their ability or their work attitude or achievements, you say, well, this is the best, this is the second best, this is the third best, this is the fourth best, for example, if you're really an optimistic person. Or you might go ahead and categorize, you say, well, this is the best, this is good, this is okay, this is fair, this is poor, right? You're really pessimistic. Otherwise, you know how to go ahead and grade things. We grade things all the time in our lives. We've been going through school. That's where we were graded. When we go through workplace, we are graded at that time as well. So this constantly we are being graded. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grades this month by saying what? Best of the months, the best of the days, the best of the nights, and best of the hours. Nothing tops any of those things as far as this month of Ramadan is concerned. He said what? هو شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله. This is the month in which you are invited to be the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He invites you, Allah is inviting you to be one of those who are near to Him. Each breath you take glorifies Him. Every time you sleep, it's considered to be a worship. Your deeds are accepted and your supplications are answered. Just a moment to ponder over this one sentence of Rasulullah where he says, هو شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله. We're all aware of the ضيافة. We're all aware of invitations. You get invitation to weddings. You get invitation to private, dawat at home, for example. Or in the month of Ramadan, you'll get invitation for breaking the fast. Or someone's Roza Kushai that they have fasted for the first time. You'll get invited for that. Birthday parties outside of Ramadan, you get invited for that as well. Other types of things that you get invited to, whether it be something which is community-based, your family-based, or corporate, your work-related, you're invited for something. All of these places that you go to, what do? You plan ahead of time. You make sure that you pick out a dress. You make sure that you look the best. You make sure that things that are necessary for you to be there are present with you so that you're not disappointed in you. Since we are all guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we must prepare before entering into this month as well. We know the invitation is not physical. It's not a physical invitation. You're not physically walking into the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're spiritually walking into it. Rather, it's spiritual. Our minds, our soul must be clean and void of all vices and bad intentions. Yes, innamal a'malu binniyat. Niyat is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see As niyat is something, you and I can only see our actions. And what you're going to do next minute, that's the only thing that you can see. What I'm going to say the next minute is all you're going to go ahead and judge me based upon that. But what am I thinking while I'm saying all of that? You have no idea. Or maybe you're a good reader, mind reader and all that stuff, but even then it will just be a hunch by you. It will not be 100%. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the other hand, huwa ya'lamu alimun bidhat as-sudur. He's aware of what is in the hearts of the people, the intentions people have behind them. So therefore, our souls must be clean, like our bodies are clean, and as well as our intentions. Yes, intentions do matter. It is so important that it can corrupt an amal before it's being done. Remember the famous story, the companions of Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Hazrat Isa spoke to them and said, Moses told his companions, Allah taznu, do not commit adultery. I am telling you, Allah tafakkaru, do not even think about committing adultery. So what's the difference between the two? Well, one is actually doing the action, and the other one is thinking about doing the action. He said, even if you don't do it, the fact of the matter that you thought about it, you corrupted your mind. You went ahead and you put some rust in this mind of yours. Now it's vulnerable. There's a possibility that this thought may come back again and you might end up committing that act. So similar to our clothes, before we go to any da'wat, our intentions and our spiritual aspect should be clean. He said, Fas'alullaha, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rabbakum, your Rabb, biniyatin sadiqa. So ask your Lord with true intentions and an enlightened heart, so that you may be able to fast and recite His book. For only He is unhappy who is devoid of God's forgiveness during this great month. Prophet of Islam has on numerous occasions have said, when he says, بِنِيَّاتٍ صَادِقَةٍ وَقُلُوبٍ طَاهِرَةٍ. This itself requires in-depth analysis that could take the entire khutbah. Niyatin sadiqa, righteous and pure niyat and your intention, wa qulubin tahira, and pure and purified and cleansed heart, with pure intentions and clean hearts. If there is dirt or an insect in a glass, in a cup, would you pour any drink into it? You pick up the glass of water when you go outside and you look into it first. There's nothing in it. Or you even look into if someone has drank before you did. If there are any drops of water, you probably don't use it. Someone already used it, and they place the used cup over there. Although there might not be something harmful, but still you want to use a clean, fresher cup. Something which hasn't been used before. And even if it's something which hasn't been used, you still look inside just to see there isn't any dirt in it. There isn't any pollution in it. There isn't something which is floating around in it. If there is, you try to clean it if it's possible for you. Then you go ahead and pour that water that you want to go ahead and. Why? Because whatever you pour in it will be affected by that which was already in it before. So if the vessel was already polluted, the vessel was already corrupted, and you pour pure water into it, what's going to happen to this pure water? That is also going to get polluted. In the month of Ramadan, you got to bring this vessel of your heart and your soul in the state that it is pure and cleansed before you can add this ibadat of fasting, this ibadat of asking for dua and supplication along with it. That combination then will make sense only if the qulub are tahir and the niyat are sadiq. Salawat biji Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Then Rasulullah, towards the middle part of the khutbah, he talks about وَاذْكُرُوا بِجَوْعِكُمْ وَعَطْشِكُمْ فِيهِ جَوْعِ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Remember the hunger and the thirst of the day of Qiyamah with your hunger and thirst. There's a question here that could be raised. Give the alms to the needy and the poor, honor your old, show kindness to the young ones, and maintain relations with your blood relatives. But remember the hunger and the thirst of the day of Qiyamah with the hunger and thirst of, when you go through Ramadan. And we haven't seen Qiyamah, so how are we going to go ahead and remember something which we haven't seen? We haven't. Nobody can here tell with confirm or with conviction say that I know I've seen the Qiyamah. No, Qiyamah hasn't happened yet. It's still yet to happen. But when it happens, you'll definitely see it. But is it not possible that you have seen Qiyamah already? For example, if I was to leave after the Jummah and someone just walked in and said, Maulana, don't make a left on Cedar Grove. There's a big accident on the intersection. Instead, make a right and go around. I follow their instructions. I make a right and I go around. I didn't see the accident. I didn't see it happen, nor did I go in that direction to go out and see it. But the fact that this person informed me of it, that is knowledge, and that is like seeing. I believed in what they said, and so therefore, I believed in him as I have seen it. Here's the same thing. We haven't seen what will happen in Qiyamah. But does that mean we haven't been informed what's going to happen in Qiyamah? Does that mean the ayat of Quran haven't talked about on that day when the trumpet will be blown and the mountains will be floating and the rivers and things and all these things will be perishing? Kullu shay'in halik illa wajha. Yes, the picture has been painted for us of the day of Qiyamah. People will be flying like moths, different descriptions of people and things and animals and mountains and rivers and huge celestial bodies. All these are mentioned in Quran. That it will be exploding as if, a flower blooms. That's how it will be exploding. All these pictures have been painted in front of us from Quran. Therefore, Rasulullah, when he says, remember the hunger and the thirst of the day of Qiyamah with the hunger and the thirst that you go through in the month of Ramadan. So therefore, when Rasulullah has already informed us and Quran has already informed us of what is going to take place in the advent of Qiyamah, that is what he's referring to over here. And then the last thing before I conclude, he said, وَاحْفَظُوا أَلْسِنَتَكُمْ وَغُضُّوا أَمَّا لَا يَحِلُّ النَّظَرُ إِلَيْهِ أَبْصَارُكُمْ. Guard your tongues, close your eyes, that which is not permissible for your sight. Close your ears to that which is not forbidden to hear. Close your ears to that which is forbidden to hear. Show compassion to the orphans of people so that compassion may be shown to your orphans. And of course, the rest of the khutbah, inshallah, I'll get an opportunity during the month of Ramadan to just highlight some aspects of this khutbah. The last part is very, very critical. He says what? Fasting is just beyond eating and avoiding eating and drinking. Those worldly pleasures that you need to avoid from dawn till dusk. No, it's beyond that. وَاحْفَظُوا أَلْسِنَتَكُمْ. Protect your tongue. وَغَضُّوا عَنْ أَبْصَارِكُمْ. Lower your gaze in front of that which is not permissible for you to see. And then close your ears to that which is not permissible for you to hear. And then he ends by saying, show mercy to the orphans the way you want to be shown mercy to your orphans. That's why you see so many organizations come about. They're helping the people in need, especially in this month, because your hearts open up for charity. There's so many orphans around the world. So many people are suffering, struggling, they don't have. And therefore you open your hearts and you help them out. Even within your own capacity, if you know someplace, somewhere, that is the bare minimum that you can do as far as a yatim and an orphan is concerned. Need I remind you what Rasulullah had said regarding the yatama? He said what? He said, Ana wa kafilul yatim kahataini fil jannah. Me and the one who takes care of a yatim, takes a custody of a yatim, or provides for a yatim, will be like this in paradise. Kahatain. And he pointed with his two fingers. Meaning what? Wherever Rasulullah will be in Jannat, the person who takes care of a yatim will be next to Rasulullah in Jannat as well. Not only that it is guaranteeing Jannat, but it is also guaranteeing being in the vicinity of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Because you want, God forbid, everybody has to leave this world. And all the parents, I'm sure, back of their mind is a dua that I leave before my children leave. I want to depart this world before my children depart this world. No parent wants to see, to be burying their children while they're still alive, right? So with that in mind, and that's how usually the routine is, the parents leave first. So when you do leave, you leave behind what? You leave behind yatim and orphans. If you want your orphans to be taken care of after you leave this world, Prophet is saying, make sure that you take care of the orphans of others while you still have the opportunity to do so. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability to prepare ahead of time for this month of Ramadan, to walk into this month of Ramadan with the qulub al-tahira, with our hearts being cleansed, with niyat al-salihah, and our niyat and our intentions, righteous intentions. Inna asl hadith wa ablagh al-mawidha kitabullahi. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وذب وسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها فعن السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا ماس لعباد إلا كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لطوف على العباد بجوده والعباد المذنبين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين على قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Before I finish off remaining khutbah in Arabic, just a quick note that starting next week, next Jummah will be in the month of Ramadan. Those of you whose salat is qasr here, you cannot just come at the regular time that you come for Salatul Jummah. Otherwise, your fast will be gone for the day. Because if you leave the vicinity of your hometown and you travel 14 miles in one direction, that's where your salat becomes qasr before zawal. Then, of course, your fast will be gone for that day. Therefore, next Friday, if you do intend on coming to Salatul Jum'ah, then leave your home and arrive at a place where your salat before the 14-mile place. Stop there until it's zawal time. Once it's the time of zawal, then continue your travel so that you can come here. You might arrive here a little bit late, but you'll be able to join for Salatul Jum'ah, and that is the only way to do Jum'ah and also to keep your fast for that day. Otherwise, if you did that without this consideration, then the fast for that Jummah will be gone. If you have any questions, inshallah, you can ask me afterwards. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه على سيدة نساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى وعلى الحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثار البدء والطغيان خادم ابنة الشرك والنفاق حاسد فروع البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آباء الكرام اتصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه وجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمرائنا المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما نحن أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يذكر فتنفع ذكره. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. هيا إلى الصلاة هيا إلى الصلاة هيا إلى الفلاح هيا إلى الفلاح هيا إلى خير العمل هيا إلى خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله وليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة لابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jummah Mubarak to you all. Let us recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It is Dr. and Mrs. Aftab Hussain. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as your Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. There's a few announcements. Inshallah, tonight is the 29th of Shaban. So around sunset, go out and look for the crescent. While seeing the crescent itself is, matter of thawab and ibadat. And you will also contribute toward as the witness who has seen the crescent. Inshallah, is high possibility to see it in our area. According to the moon curve in the entire United States, it could be easily seen. So therefore, it's very easy for you to see it tonight, inshallah, if you were to go. But regardless of that, inshallah, our programs will start from tomorrow, March 1st until March 30th. We'll have the daily Ramadan program. Of course, the first 8 days, while we are still going through the daylight savings, will start from March 9th. Until then, the programs will be slightly operating at different hours. 5:30 we will start from 1st of March until the 8th of March with the group Quran recitation. Namaz-e-Maghrib will be around 6:10, 6:15. So we'll lead right into Salatul Maghrib. Salatul Maghrib will have iftar. After that, inshallah, we'll come back for Isha Salat. And after the Isha Salat, inshallah, we'll have speech and Dua Iftatah. That'll be for the first 8 days. And then, of course, when the daylight saving kicks in from March 9th, the program will start at 6:15, inshallah. That'll be daily onwards from that point on until the end of month of Ramadan. Then we'll have Quran before, and then the speech will be done before Maghrib Salat. Then we'll have Salatul Maghrib at around 7:15, 7:20. The time will continue to increase. We'll iftar, Salatul Isha, and inshallah conclude by Dua Iftatah. Of course, the scheduling for the majalis to commemorate the shahadat of Amirul Mu'mineen will be announced at a later time. The timings slightly change at that amount. Email went out. There were opportunities for you to sponsor the iftar. One of the things that I did not share from the khutbah of Rasulullah, which I just remembered, the last portion of the khutbah of Rasulullah, he says, one of the greatest of the ibadat is to provide iftar for others. So many of the people in the attendance said to Rasulullah, "Oh Rasulullah, we don't have enough to provide for ourselves, let alone to others." And Rasulullah says, وَلَوْ كَانَ بِالتَّمْرَةٍ, even if it was just one date or one sip of water is all that you're providing for someone to go ahead and break their fast, that is enough as well. So, take opportunity, alhamdulillah, mukhayyirin, you have been given this and you've been blessed to take part in providing iftar on the nightly basis. You can go and click on the link that was provided in the email. You can sign up for any of the days that you want, and our volunteers, inshallah, will help you out with that. As the month begins and the announcements will be made, more details of that will follow, inshallah, but the email is filled with that. Al-Mahdi Children's Workshop and programs for the month of Ramadan will also be taking place. So those little ones, they also, when they come, they get to understand what Ramadan is, learn some features of this month, and of course stay in the same gear as you and I would be when we are attending the programs here for the majalis and the speeches. There will also be a children's workshop for special needs and children with disabilities. There will also be programmed for the children to learn how to recite Dua Iftatah, and towards the end of the month of Ramadan, they could also take part in the actual recitation. And then we also have this year the art of Quran recitation, which the program will be led by Qari Zuhair Hussaini. That'll be starting Saturday, March 1st, that's tomorrow, after the regular program ends, inshallah. So this is an overview of, inshallah, what is about to come as far as this month of Ramadan is concerned. Before we move with the dua, just another announcement that we have annual Ramadan Family Food Sponsorship Program. to help out locals here in the Franklin Township, families in need for food in our township. This year the goal is to sponsor 100 families. You did that, mashallah, last year as well. The cost of per family is only $100. So you can sponsor an entire family for $100. But you can donate any amount that you want to. Donations will be given at the end of Ramadan. We've made it into sort of like an event. At the end of Ramadan, we invite the head of the food bank and then we present them with the check. So they will be given this, inshallah, towards the end of Ramadan. Franklin Food Bank and Qidma, the two local NGOs that provide food to our neighbors in need. For more information, you can contact Dr. Azim Hussain or Dr. Kharazi, inshallah. Let us recite Dua Sehat for all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are struggling, suffering, going through difficult time, whether it be locally or in Palestine or in Yemen or in Afghanistan, in Parachanar, and other parts of the world. Let us recite this Dua Sehat together, including Syed Mehdi Rizvi. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أَمَّن يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ إِلَٰهٌ مَّعَ اللَّهِ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. Before that, inshallah, Fajr Salat will continue. There won't be any breakfast anymore, but the Fajr Salat will continue. Inshallah, look out for the email if the timings change. But for now, it will be, inshallah, at 6 a.m. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah. Ashhadu anna Aliyan hujjatullah. Hayya ala salati, hayya ala salah. Hayya ala al-falah, hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala khayril amal, hayya ala khayril amal. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاضع فقير بائس مسكين مستقيم مستجير لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من نفس لا تشبع ومن قلب لا يخشى ومن علم لا ينفع ومن صلاة لا ترفع ومن دعاء لا يسمع. اللهم إني أسألك اليسر بعد العسر والفرج بعد الكرب والرخاء بعد الشدة. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Mutawajjih Ziyarah today, let's ask the Imam of times to help us to sail through this month with a lot of ibadat, praise, supplication, and helping others. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alaikum, ya mu'minin, ya qasim al-jannati wal-nar. Assalamu alaikum, sayyidina al-alamin. Assalamu alaikum, ya ahl bayt an-nubuwwah jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, kamil al-tamil shamil am wa salawatu ad-da'imatu wa barakatuh al-qaimat ta'amatu ala hujjatillahi wa waliyyihi في أرضي وولادي وخليفتي إلى خلقي وعبادي وسلالة النبوة وبقية الإطر والصفة صاحب الزمان ومدر الإيمان وملقن أحكام القرآن ومطهر الأرض وناشر العدل في الطول والعرض والحجة القائمة المهدي الإمام المنتر المرضية وابن الأئمة الطاهرين الوصي ابن أوصياء المرضيين الهادي المعصوم ابن أئمة الهداة المعصومين. السلام عليكم يا مذل المؤمنين المستضعفين يا مذل الكافرين المتكبرين. السلام عليكم يا مولاي صاحب الزمان. السلام عليكم يا ابن رسول الله يا ابن أمير المؤمنين يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدنا العالمين. السلام عليكم يا ابن أئمة الهادين. السلام عليكم يا مولاي يا مسلم مخلصة في الولاية. أشهد أنك الإمام المهدي قول ما فعل ما أنت الذي تمل الأرض قسطا وعدلا بعد ما مولد ظلما وجارا وأجل الله فرجك وسهل له فرجك وقرب زمانك وكسر إنسانك وانك وانجزا ما لك ما بعدك فهو أصدق القائلين ونريد أن نمن الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة نجعلهم الوارثين. يا مولاي صاحب الزمان يا ابن رسول الله, raise your hands and ask for your hajat. يا ابن رسول الله حاجتي قضاء بقضاء فاشفع لي في نجاحي فقد توجهت إليك بحاجتي لعلمي أن لك عند الله شفاعة مقبولة ومقام محمودة فبك من استخصهم بأمره وتزاكم لسر بشان الذي لكم عند الله بينكم وبينه صلى الله تعالى ونهج طلبتي وإجابة دعوتي وكشف كربتي. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. May Allah help the oppressed and punish the oppressor.